Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan.
And it is Tuesday, January 13th, 2026.
It is. And looking outside here in Sacramento, we've got a dense fog advisory until about 10:00 a.m. this morning. So be careful out there.
Yeah, definitely. And across the country, it's actually, well above average temperatures for most of the lower 48.
Mm-hmm. But there is a wintry mix moving through the upper Great Lakes today.
And that's going to spread out a bit, right? Through the Appalachians and Northeast tomorrow and Thursday.
Looks like it.
Okay, quick look at the markets. A little bit of a mixed bag. The Dow closed down slightly, about 0.47%.
But it's still positive for the week, up almost 1.9% since last Monday.
Exactly. And the S&P 500 basically flat for the day, down 0.04%, but it's also up for the week.
And Bitcoin is having a pretty strong day, up 1.64%.
All right, before we jump into our main stories, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor.
Today's conversation is brought to you by Old Glory.
They're an iconic music and sports fan merch store. If you're looking for, great stuff for that techie friend for the holidays, they have you covered.
And if you use the promo code SNARFL at checkout, you get 15% off your entire purchase.
You can find them over at oldglory.com.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Let's do it. Today we're looking at 3 huge stories from our Morning Star. That's our internal Snarful Tech article report.
And they all connect technology, regulation, and some very real-world costs.
Yeah, the theme today is definitely accountability. Who pays the bill for all this innovation?
Exactly.
So our first story is a big one. We're seeing a global crackdown on AI deepfakes, and it's starting in the UK.
Right. The UK regulator, Ofcom, has just opened a formal investigation into X.
And this is under their new Online Safety Act, the OSA. It's all because of some deeply concerning reports involving the Grok AI chatbot.
Yeah, this is a landmark moment. This law gives Ofcom some serious teeth. And the investigation is zeroing in on the creation and sharing of illegal content.
And we should be clear, the specific charges are incredibly serious.
They are. The probe is looking at non-consensual intimate images. Those AI-generated deepfakes we hear so much about.
And, even more disturbing, sexualized images of children, child sexual abuse material, or CSAM.
And that is the absolute red line. Ofcom's job now is to figure out if X actually did what it was supposed to do to protect UK users.
So what does that involve? What are they looking for?
Well, a few things. First, did they take the right steps to prevent users from even seeing this priority illegal content in the first place?
And second, once they knew about it, how quickly did they get it down?
Exactly. But it's also about prevention. They're looking at whether X properly assess the risks to children on the platform.
And if they put in what the law calls highly effective age assurance.
Right. Basically, technology to make sure kids aren't seeing pornography and other harmful stuff.
So let's talk consequences, because this is where it gets real.
It does. If X is found to have broken the law, the fines are just crippling.
Up to 18 million, which is about 24.3 million US dollars?
Yeah, or 10% of their qualifying worldwide revenue, whichever number is higher. Either way, that is a massive hit.
And that's just the money. Ofcom can go even further, can't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If things are bad enough, they can get a court order to block payment providers or even advertisers from working with X.
So they can just choke off the revenue stream.
They can. And in the most extreme cases, they can actually require internet providers to block the site completely in the UK.
Wow. And this isn't just a UK thing, is it? It feels like a global movement.
It is. Malaysia and Indonesia have already temporarily blocked Grok. They said it repeated misuse.
And Indonesia's communication minister called it a serious violation of human rights. That is strong language.
It's a clear signal that the days of, move fast and break things are over when it comes to AI.
And has X tried to fix this?
Well, they recently limited image editing features to paying verified subscribers.
Okay, so a paywall for the powerful tools.
In theory. But reports from just this Monday showed that non-paying users could still get to the generation tools through the Grok tab. So the fix was leaky at best.
Which is such a strange look. You're basically making the tools that are being used to create illegal material a premium paid feature.
It's a very tough position for them to be in. The regulators are clearly not waiting around for them to figure it out.
Right, so from regulatory costs to subscription costs, let's pivot to our second story.
Apple. They've just announced a new subscription bundle called Apple Creator Studio.
And this is aimed squarely at creatives, right? It launches January 28th.
It is. And what's interesting here is the strategy. Apple is pushing hard into services, and this bundle is all about integrating their best creative apps with a lot of new AI features.
So let's talk about what you get. The price is $12.99 a month or $129 for the year.
Which is a pretty good deal when you see what's included. You get Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro.
And the big one, Pixelmator Pro, is coming to the iPad for the very first time.
That is huge news. But I think the really smart move here is the student and educator pricing.
Right. It's just $2.99 a month, or about $30 for the whole year.
That's not a discount. That is a market lock-in strategy. You get students and new creatives hooked on your professional software for a price they can actually afford.
And when they graduate and start their careers, they just stick with what they know. It's brilliant.
It is. But let's get into the AI, because that's the real value proposition here.
Okay. So in Final Cut Pro for video editing, there's a new transcript search. What does that do?
It's a massive time saver. The AI transcribes all of your video footage automatically. So if you need to find a clip where someone says a specific phrase, you just type it in and boom, there it is.
Instead of scrubbing through hours of tape, I can see editors loving that.
And then there's visual search. You can describe an object or an action like blue car drives past a coffee shop, and the AI finds those exact moments in your footage.
That's incredible. And they're pulling in AI from their music software too.
Yep. They're using beat detection from Logic Pro to help you quickly line up your video edits to the rhythm of a song. It's all about making the creative process faster.
And these AI features aren't just for the pro apps, are they?
No, they're trickling down into iWork too. So Pages, Numbers, and Keynote are still free for basic stuff.
But the subscription unlocks the really powerful AI tools.
Exactly. Like a new content hub using generative models from OpenAI to create images, or a super resolution feature to upscale low-quality photos.
What about for something like a spreadsheet? What does AI do in Numbers?
This is pretty cool. There's a beta feature called Magic Fill. It's pattern recognition. So if you start filling out a complex spreadsheet, Magic Fill sees the pattern.
And it just populates the rest of the rows for you.
Exactly. It could save hours of boring data entry.
So Apple is drawing a very clear line in the sand. Basic tools are free, but the smart, efficient, AI-powered future, that's going to cost you $12.99 a month.
That's the new model, and you're going to see it everywhere.
Okay, that brings us to our third and honestly maybe the most critical story. It's about the literal physical cost of all this AI.
Right. We're talking about Microsoft and its plan to deal with the massive local opposition to its AI data centers.
These things use a staggering amount of energy, right?
Almost unbelievable amount. It's putting a huge strain on the U.S. power grid. We're seeing reports of utility bills going up for regular consumers in at least 13 states because of it.
And the projections are kind of scary. Data centers used about 5.2% of all U.S. power last year.
And that's projected to nearly triple by 2030. It could be almost 12% of the country's total power usage.
That is just not sustainable. You can see why local communities are pushing back.
It's not just power either. It's heavy water usage for cooling. It's taking over rural farmland. Microsoft had to pull out of a project in Wisconsin because of this kind of opposition.
Yeah, even President Trump weighed in, saying these companies have to pay their own way.
Mm-hmm. And Microsoft President Brad Smith admitted that electricity is the heavier lift compared to everything else.
So what's in this 5-point plan? What are they promising to do?
Okay, so the biggest commitment, the one that's making headlines, is that they will ask utility companies to set higher electricity rates specifically for Microsoft.
Wait, they're asking to pay more.
That's the idea. The premium they pay is supposed to cover the cost of the new infrastructure their data centers require and shield local residents from those rate hikes.
That is unusual. What else?
They're also committing to replenish more water than they withdraw, so they're net positive on water.
Okay, perfect.
And they're promising to pay their full share of property taxes and create local jobs and AI training programs.
You know, I appreciate the transparency of asking for a higher rate, but how do we actually know that rate covers the true costs?
And that is the billion-dollar question.
Yeah.
Consumer advocates are really worried about this
Why is that?
because these big bulk power deals are almost always confidential.
Yeah.
So it's incredibly hard for anyone on the outside to verify who is really paying for what.
So we just have to take their word for it.
Pretty much. And groups like Clean Wisconsin are still calling for a moratorium on any new data center approvals until there's a real comprehensive regulatory plan in place that everyone can see.
So the pressure is on. This isn't just a Microsoft problem, it's an industry-wide problem. The bill for the digital world is finally coming due.
And it's showing up in everyone's mailbox.
Before we recap, let's thank our other sponsor.
Today's conversation is also brought to you by Sconi, the premium golf shoe store.
If you're looking to improve your style and your game on the course, Sconi has some incredible shoes, great looks, top-tier performance.
And you can get 15% off your entire purchase when you use the promo code SNARFL at checkout.
Just head over to sconi.com.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. 3 stories, one big theme.
Right. First, we saw global regulators putting a leash on powerful AI. The UK's investigation into X and Grok shows that the lawless frontier days for AI are over.
Then we saw how Apple is using that same AI technology to change its business model, bundling professional software into the Creator Studio subscription and using huge student discounts to lock in the next generation.
And finally, the rubber meets the road. Big tech, starting with Microsoft, is finally being forced to pay for the enormous energy and environmental costs of its AI infrastructure.
The big takeaway is that technology's impact is no longer abstract. It's hitting communities, regulations, and household budgets directly. Someone has to pay.
You know, it really makes you wonder. If the cost of regulatory fines and the literal cost of electricity keep going up like this, is it only going to be the biggest companies that can afford to innovate in AI? Could it freeze out smaller startups?
That's a huge question, and I think we're starting to see the answer play out in real time.
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.